The Bank for International Settlements has warned that it faces slow growth due to rising policy uncertainty, trade protectionism, and increasing debt levels. The annual economic report highlighted that fragmented economic ties and volatile financial markets create unstable conditions worldwide. The bank urged policymakers to ensure sustainable fiscal policies, strengthen financial resilience, and prioritize price stability to support growth amid ongoing uncertainty. The United Nations top official Antonio Guterres has called for innovative forms of financing at a major global development summit in Seville, Spain, warning that traditional increases in official development aid should not be expected. UN Chief Antonio Guterres called for innovative financing, announcing an approved plan to triple the lending capacity of multilateral development banks. Notably, U.S. President Donald Trump is absent from the conference, with the U.S. having pulled out and declined to back the action plan. The summit is taking place amid heat wave drawing climate protests.
To create levies in relation to several areas of activity.
Moving on to Europe, the European Union and Ukraine have reached a preliminary agreement on future agricultural exports to the bloc. EU Trade Commissioner Maros Vekovic announced the deal follows the EU's suspension of duty-free access for Ukrainian farm goods earlier this month, which had been granted in 2022 to support Ukraine. The bloc has since reverted to pre-war trade rules with tariffs and quotas, but the new agreement aims to rebalance trade while maintaining support for Ukraine. The EU remains Ukraine's top trading partner, while Ukraine ranks as the EU's third largest agri-food supplier. Moreover, the European Union has firmly rejected U.S. criticism of its new Digital Markets Act and Digital Services Act, confirming that the laws will not be altered in ongoing trade talks. Spokesperson Thomas Regnier stressed that foreign governments won't influence the enforcement of these laws, which include hefty fines. The EU's regulations target major tech giants like Apple, Meta, and Microsoft to curb their market power and tackle harmful content online. Earlier this year, Apple and Meta faced the first EU fines under the new rules. The European Central Bank has convened its annual three-day forum on central banking in Portugal today. Ahead of the forum, ECB President Christine Lagarde and Chief Economist Philip Lane previewed aspects of the central bank's recently concluded strategy assessment. Addressing the growing influence of artificial intelligence, Lagarde cautioned that central banks globally are increasingly using AI, but must be cautious and not blindly following it. Lagarde also highlighted the critical relevance of climate change and its economic impact, alongside the ongoing risks of inflation and its effect on prices.
Inclusion of climate in 2021 was a bit of a breakthrough because not everyone was convinced. This particular time, there was a lot less debate as to the relevance of climate change as a
Furthermore, the European Central Bank has announced that it is preparing for 5 more years of economic upheaval, driven by factors like geopolitical rifts and artificial intelligence. Updating its strategy, the bank warned that inflation will remain uncertain and potentially more volatile. In response, the bank pledged forceful action to keep inflation at its 2% target, whether prices are too high or too low, a shift from past policy. The bank's chief economist, Philip Lane, emphasized the need to be decisive when inflation begins to build. The Statistics Office has revealed that Germany's annual inflation rate unexpectedly eased to 2% in June, bringing Europe's largest economy in line with the European Central Bank's target. Germany's core inflation rate, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, eased to 2.7% in June from 2.8% the previous month. Additionally, retail sales unexpectedly fell by 1.6% in May compared with the previous month. The office noted that import prices decreased by 1.1% year-on-year in May. The Office for National Statistics has reported that the UK economy experienced its fastest growth in over a year during the first quarter of 2025, largely driven by robust householding spending. Gross domestic product rose by an unrevised 0.7% between January and March. Further data revealed that monthly growth in March alone was revised upwards to 0.4% from an initial 0.2% estimate. Household expenditure contributed, increasing by 0.4% in the first 3 months of the year, while manufacturing saw a 1.1% growth. Despite this economic rebound, the UK's current account deficit widened to a larger than expected £23.46 billion in the January to March period, up from just over £21 billion in the preceding quarter of 2024. In Asia, China has voiced its opposition to any trade deals between other countries and the U.S. that sacrifice Chinese interests for tariff relief. The Commerce Ministry spokesman noted that China would not accept such agreements and would implement decisive countermeasures to protect its rights. The ministry condemned the U.S.'s recent reciprocal tariffs as unilateral bullying that harms the multilateral trading system. China also supported other nations resolving trade differences with the U.S. through equal consultations, urging all to uphold fairness and defend international trade rules. The ministry further stressed that only by firm adherence to principles can a country safeguard its legitimate rights. China's Commerce Ministry has demanded Canada immediately correct its wrongdoings over Ottawa-ordered Chinese firm Hikvision to halt operations, citing national security risks. China vowed to protect its businesses and accused Canada of unfairly targeting Chinese companies by broadly applying national security claims. Canada's Industry Minister Melanie Joly said that the decision followed a thorough security review. China's Foreign Ministry lodged a protest calling for a fair and non-discriminatory environment for Chinese firms. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman has announced that China has conditionally resumed imports of Japanese aquatic products nearly 2 years after imposing a ban due to concerns over treated nuclear wastewater discharge from Fukushima. The lifted ban excludes seafood from 10 Japanese prefectures, including Fukushima itself. China says that the decision follows Japan's commitment to safety measures and international monitoring, but stresses that it will maintain strict supervision. The original ban severely impacted Japanese seafood exporters.